I made a cornering mistake at a motorcycle track day a number of years ago, and it turned into the best learning experience of my life. I'm John, your Mindset Moto guy, and welcome to your daily UpShift. So, I'm going to tell you guys a little story about an experience that I had, going on maybe a dozen years ago, maybe more, I don't remember. I was at a racetrack doing a motorcycle track day. I don't road race, I don't motorcycle race. I've done a good amount of track days in the past and more recently, and they are a lot of fun, and I highly recommend them as a great learning experience, especially if you go to the right outfit to do it. So, but anyway, that's not what I came to talk about. What I came to talk about is one day, after riding on a small street-style track with a lot of stopping, a lot of hard braking and big corners and hills and downhills, so much more like street riding track, we went to a mostly flat, wide open, high-speed sweeper kind of racetrack, a big flowy racetrack. New Jersey Motorsports Park, the Thunderbolt track, if you know where that is or you've ever seen it. They do a lot of different kinds of racing there, a lot of pro superbike, AMX superbike races. Crazy fun track. But for me and a lot of people, it had just opened, and it was the first time we'd ever been at those kinds of speeds, carrying that type of speed in a corner. There were some real high-speed corners, and there was one particular corner. I want to say it was turn 9, but correct me down below if you have it. It's been a long time since I've been there. And it's a double apex right. So you're in a right turn, and then partway through the right turn, you actually slow down a little bit. You brake a little while you're leaned over, and you tip in again, and you continue around. And again, the beautiful thing out on the racetrack, if you've ever been on a closed course, is you know what's coming. There's no surprises. The road doesn't change. It's not like here on the street where I come around the corner and there could be a car parked in the road. There could be a deer. There could be the road could go a different way because I'm not familiar with it. None of that stuff happens on the racetrack. So it's really cool that way. It's very predictable. So I knew this was around. I'd been through it a number of times throughout the morning, and I went out on one session, and I realized that this turn I was going to be at speed. I was going to be trail braking while leaned over to slow a little bit more and then lean over even more. And I knew it was a thing I could do, but on paper, but it was something I really hadn't done at that level and at that speed. And I said, I'm not pretending that I'm super fast, but I was fast enough that I was cooking along at a speed that you wouldn't want to get off the bike, inadvertently. And so, but I knew when I got there in the morning, I said to myself, the turn is there. If anything happens, if I start to look off the side of the track and look at a bad place, I just need to relax, focus my energy where I want to be, look where I want to go, and just relax my body and let my body and my bike do what they need to do to go where I need to be. And I know that the bike's capable. In fact, there were a couple of friends that I knew that were riding that day that were on the same model of bike as mine. They were set up for more street stuff or more track stuff, and they were both road racers, and they went way faster than I will ever hope to go or want to go. They were much faster than me on basically a comparable motorcycle to what I was on that day. Same model, same size, same horsepower, same kind of setup. And they were going around these turns probably 30% faster than me. And I knew that. So I'm like, all right, well, so my bike is more capable than I think, that I might be without some practice. So I know that there's more in my bike available to me if I let it. So I went into the day knowing that. I had thought a lot about that because, again, of these high-speed turns, it was a kind of a daunting experience to change to that style track. But I will tell you, it was super-duper fun. The whole day was the most amazing thing. And anyhow, I'm going around this right-hander. I'm leaned over, hanging off the bike, leaned over quite a bit. So I start to trail brake to go into the next turn a little bit. That's going fine. Traction's great. Tires feel awesome. It's a brand new racetrack. There's gobs of traction and grip. And I look straight off the second half of the turn. I'm just about to the point where you tip in the second apex, and I look straight off the turn instead of looking through the turn. And for a moment, my body tensed up, and I said, oh crap, I'm going to go straight, and I'm going to crash. I'm going to run wide, and I'm going to run off the corner. I'm going way too fast. And again, I'd had this conversation earlier in the day. I'm not going too fast. I've got my own control of me, and I don't do that. And I know that my bike is way more capable than I'm comfortable making it go around these turns. So I got this backup plan of letting the bike take over. So I look for a moment straight off the edge of the track, and it was still dirt. There wasn't even grass planted yet, to tell you how long ago it was. And I said, no. And I immediately caught myself, and I said, no. And I just whacked my face over it. I looked around the turn. I loosened all the tension out of my hands and my arms and the bars, and the bike immediately tipped in toward the right more instead of me going straight and running off the corner. And it tipped in so hard that I actually suddenly realized I was aiming at the inside curbing of the curve. Okay, follow me on this for your mindset stuff. I was suddenly had to actually stand the bike back up to avoid crashing into the inside red and white curb ribbon. So I went from, oh my gosh, I'm going to run off this turn, I'm going much too fast, to, holy cow, I need to stand the bike up to not run off the inside of a curve. Who's ever had, anybody, show of comment, anybody ever have trouble running off the inside of a curve? No, probably not. I did. Okay? It's the best problem ever on a motorcycle. So I actually stood the bike back up, got it back under, and then continued on about the rest of my lap, saying, all right, well, I did exactly what I knew I should do on paper and intellectually, and man, it instantly worked. It worked so good that I actually did too much of it. So the reason I'm sharing this story with you, besides that it's just a good story from a motorcycle skill perspective, I went in prepared for that kind of thing to happen. I wasn't wishing it on myself or obsessing about it, but I knew that this was the first time I would be at these speeds going around this kind of a corner in this setting, and I needed to make sure that I had a situation set up for me to come out winning. And it did. It worked. And what I learned from that, and it immediately right away I learned that as far as motorcycling goes, that having plans, thinking it out through in my head of what I would do if this happens, if this, then that. It worked. It worked famously well, no problem. It instantly corrected, again overcorrected to the point that it was easier to stand up than to lean in. And I realized that really worked, and it was really cool. And I knew that was what was going to happen on paper and intellectually, but I hadn't actually had that experience. I had never gotten that actual feedback until that very moment. And the rest of the day went great. I had a lot of fun. Got faster throughout the day, smoother, better lines, tons of fun. Great day. Didn't throw me off at all. Really actually made me more comfortable and confident because of how I was able to switch, kind of quote unquote switch gears and do that. Well, how we're relating that, what I wanted to relate that to you guys quickly is to realize that if you're doing new things and you're reaching out and stretching and doing new stuff, you're starting a new business, you're doing a new hobby, a new skill, you're starting a new job, whatever the case is, pay attention to how you know it's supposed to go. And the moment you start to think about, well, what if, or this might happen, or the other thing could happen, stop, knock it off, don't give that energy, go right back to the default setting that you knew was going to work, and do that. We hear that a lot of times with businesses as they start to grow. The thing they did to grow to the first amount, they stop doing when they get to the other point, and then they don't grow anymore because they start doing other stuff that they're nervous or they're not good at, and all of a sudden they're not growing and they're stagnant because they stopped doing that baseline thing that they knew worked, and they stopped trusting it. So don't do that to yourself. Don't undermine yourself when you know you've got a solution, you know what you're supposed to do, and you're starting to do it, and you've got some results, and then you get off path and you get off track. Instantly, correct yourself, get right back onto the path that you know is the proven path. And if you've never done a thing before, then go learn from somebody how to do it. They'll teach you the proven path that they used, and then do exactly what they tell you to do. Try this. Do exactly what I'm telling you to do. If you've not tried it before, I've done it. It works. Take my belief, take my proof and my trust, and use that for your own good. You don't have to have that experience, but if you know and trust that that system is going to work for you, you can fall back on that the moment you get stressed, the moment you get anxious or worried or any of that stuff about the path you're on. Have a path set up that you know for a fact it works. On paper it works. In practice of somebody else it works. And you just have to do it a couple times and get the faith in it by getting those experiences and switching back to it. And all of a sudden, you're going to become unstoppable because you're going to realize that you have the power to change your mind, to stop your mind from going off task and get right back on track and do amazing things with your life. So that's what I wanted to talk to you about today, is really that you have the power within you to stay focused, to stay on track, to not get way off base, okay, not to get, avoidance and procrastination. And I'm talking to me too, not just talking to you, because we all struggle with this. I know I do, and I did some last week even because I was off. I missed a few days of videos that I was telling you guys I was going to do, and I just kind of crawled myself into a spot for a couple days. And I finally said, no, this is ridiculous. I know what I'm doing. I know how to do this. I'm good at what I do. Get out there and do the thing I know I'm good at, and stop overthinking everything else. So with that, I hope you get out this beautiful weekend ahead, or the beautiful day you got ahead of you, whatever day you're watching this. Get out and ride well, ride often, and make sure you click that subscribe button so you get more of this stuff. I'm going to be bringing you videos all the time and sharing my thoughts with you. So subscribe and follow along on this journey, and kind of be my virtual riding buddy, as one of the guys I watch on YouTube says. So with that, have a great one, and we'll talk soon. Ciao.